One, two. Is this on? Welcome to another answer to the age old question of do you know what really burns my ass? When I have to tell you one story to tell another. I wanted to discuss comic books in more detail with you. Comic books have been a hobby of mine since the mid 80s. I've been reading comics since the early 70s. I used to have, wish I still had, an issue of Spidey Super Stories, the Spider Man comic of the time, from 1973 that had a subscription card that I had filled out while trying to convince my parents to subscribe to the comic. I was going to go over terms first. We could all be on the same page, and I wouldn't have to keep stopping to explain myself, but that got very lengthy. So this is going to be a series. Because before I can talk about terms and eras, I have to do a bit of a ranking of superheroes. Obviously, ranking fictional characters at all is going to be subjective and up to interpretation. So I'm going to set some ground rules first. Then I'll try to get a nice window on screen and move names around visually to help illustrate. Now, there are a lot of ways to rank fictional characters, but the one I plan to use is perceived popularity. So, for these characters, of which there are more than twice as many as I expected there to be, I'm going to be focusing on their publication history and overall exposure in the comics. I found over 50 superheroes from Marvel and DC who have had their own movie or TV show. Again, a lot more than I expected. I chose from these because I thought these would be the most accessible characters for you, the audience, to understand. I also eliminated characters from team or ensemble shows or movies in a desperate attempt to keep this manageable. So, no Wendy or Marvin from Super Friends, no Cyborg or Starfire from Teen Titans, things like that. I'm ranking by comparing the maximum number of separate issues the character appeared in within a given month and the length of their longest running solo title. So, for example, Captain America is frequently in the Avengers team, and he's had his own title, but that is only two issues in the same month. By comparison, at one point in the 90s, Superman had five separate solo titles and was in JLA, so he would be higher in popularity than Captain America. Again, labeling this as by popularity is subjective and invites contradiction. So let me know in the comments what you think is wrong and why. I promise to read every comment and reply to any points you make. Also, I'm going to classify movie serials as movies. I just am. An argument could be made for them to be classified as TV shows, but I'm not going to be the one to make it. Um, so let me get a screen up here and let's see what we have as far as the heroes that I've put on the list and where I think that they fall.
Okay, so I'm not sure if this is working perfectly, but I think you should be able to see my screen now. So I made my script because I can't use the teleprompter at the same time. So going back where I came from, in 1943 was the first depiction of Batman outside of the comic books. If Batman isn't S tier, I'm not sure who is. So when I was a comic book retailer in the 90s, not he had something like seven titles a month, plus four related titles that weren't really him. Plus, he was in JLA. So, I think if there was a tier higher than S, he'd be the only one in it. 1944, Captain America got a movie serial. But while he has had related titles that ran at the same time as his, specifically Nomad, Cap himself usually was two or three appearances a month, his own title and Avengers. So he's going to be here in B tier. After him, we've got Superman. It's hard to believe, but his first serial was with George Reeves and didn't happen until 48. And while he didn't get as many separate titles as Batman, he did get a lot. There were five separate ongoing titles during what I'm going to later define as the Triangle Era. Plus, he was a core team member of the Justice League, so he again S tier. Wonder Woman isn't DC's first female superhero. A lot of people think she is, but she is the overall high queen of female superheroes. If Family Feud were to ask 100 people to name a female superhero, she would be number one. But she's only ever had one title at a time that I know of, plus her appearances in the Justice League. So she, like Captain America, will be here in B tier. Supergirl, her live action movie just came out, but she also had a live action movie back in '84. But her publication history has, more often than not, she's been a guest star in Superman's titles. As far as her own titles existing, she's never had more than one at a time, and they've never really lasted that long. So she's going to go down here in C tier. So you may be wondering at this point, what does someone have to do to get into A tier? We don't have anyone there yet. That's lower than Batman and Superman, higher than Captain America and Wonder Woman. In 1989, The Punisher got his first movie, and it wasn't very good. But the character did get to the point in the 90s where he had 4 ongoing titles all at once and many guest appearances in other books, even though he wasn't, a member of a team. So his longest running title was 104 issues. That's going to qualify him to be our first A tier character. Another Marvel character, Nightman, got a mostly forgettable television show in '97. Uh, Nightman never had a Marvel series. His Malibu series went for just under 2 years before Marvel bought him and then shelved him. But this lack of push in the comics makes him our first D tier character. Whoops. Okay, let's get that back where it's supposed to be. Uh, Blade is next year. His movie in '98 was Marvel's first successful superhero movie. It's inarguable that the previous movies, Howard the Duck, Punisher, even Captain America's movie serial, weren't really successful. But Blade has only ever had one series at a time with long gaps in between, and his longest title only made it 12 issues. So even though he did great at the box office, he's down here in D tier as far as comic books go. So now we really hit the Marvel characters in the movies. In 2002, Spider-Man got a big budget Hollywood movie. He'd had TV appearances and overseas movies, but 2002 was his first big break. And I do have an interesting story about that, but that's a story for another time. As for this movie, it came at a time when Spider-Man had 4 Spider-Man titles, half of which were at the time over 120 issues, so over 10 years running, and a related title in Spider-Girl. So he's going to join Batman and Superman appear in S tier. Daredevil had a movie in 2003, and it was nowhere near as popular as his television appearances on Netflix and Disney Plus have been. And while he did have a continuous run of over 375 issues as a solo title, he rarely made guest appearances or joined teams, so that's going to prevent him from rising past Tier C. Likewise, Catwoman has been mostly a villain, and her most successful title didn't quite make 100 issues, so she's going to join Daredevil down here. Now, Ghost Rider next had 2 movies starring Nicolas Cage in the late 2000s. His popularity had peaked in the 90s, however, when he had 3 different solo titles all running at the same time, the longest of which was 93 issues. So because they were all coming out at the same time, I'm bumping his popularity up to A tier. Now, can you believe we're only just now getting to the start of the MCU? It'll go fast from here, though, I promise. Like I said, whoops, my script. No. I'm only including characters who headlined their own solo project. Not everyone who appeared in a movie or TV show is going to be on this list, even before I started culling people. And there are a lot of duplicates. Not as many as I thought there would be, but a lot. So when the MCU started in 2008, it started with the second stringers. The X-Men, the Fantastic Four, Hulk, and Spider-Man, the main eventers, were all licensed already to other companies. So Iron Man was a B-rank hero at the time, with a 300 plus issue series, but just the one series and frequent appearances in different team books, mostly Avengers, but also Force Works and some others that didn't get popular. But so he got to lead the franchise for the MCU because he was the most popular character that they still had the rights to. Meanwhile, Wolverine over on Fox got a solo movie. His main solo comic book title ran 189 issues. And he'd also been a spotlight in Marvel Comics Presents, which was technically a solo uh, title, and a regular in multiple X-Men team books. So he's going to join Punisher and Ghost Rider in Tier A. Our last A-tier movie hero is going to be Green Lantern. At one point, there were actually 4 Green Lantern titles, the longest of which went over 200 issues. Plus, he was, of course, a staple of the Justice League for a long time. Now, Ant-Man was a surprise MCU movie in 2015. The Scott Lang version of the character to that point had not had a solo comic book run of any length. And although the Hank Pym version was a founding member of the Avengers, poor writing, honestly, on all four, I think. Four of the people who wore the Ant-Man uniform has kept the character at D tier this entire time. Deadpool, on the other hand, one of the more recent characters who made this particular ranking, has had multiple titles and multiple team and guest appearances over the years. He's even been re envisioned as a character vastly different from what he was when he was created. So when his movie came out in 2016, his character was a solid B tier property. Uh, Another 2018 movie was Venom. A lot of people thought it would be a mistake to take an A-list Spider-Man villain turned C-list hero and do a movie that didn't involve Spider-Man, but it did work. He's C tier in my list because none of his titles have lasted more than 47 issues, so less than 4 years, and his involvement with the Avengers wasn't the main version of the character. It was actually Flash Thompson with the symbiote instead of Eddie Brock. Wasp, as a comic character, has never really fared more than Ant-Man. The two of them were teammates. The two of them were on the Avengers. But as far as I know, uh, she's only had one solo title that I can find, and it didn't make it 12 issues. Uh, so she's going to join Ant-Man down here in tier D. Moving into the last four, not Venom, Joker. This is the first pure supervillain that I've got here. His movie in 2019. The others are former villains turned hero. There's a lot of those, especially in Marvel. Venom, Black Widow started as an Iron Man villain. Hawkeye started as a villain. There are a lot of popular Marvel heroes that started as Marvel villains. But Joker only had, as far as I can find, one or two solo titles, not at the same time, and the longest one was 15 issues. Every other time we see him in somebody else's book, usually Batman. So even though he is an A-list villain, no doubt about it, he's only a D-list character as far as the qualifications that I've got going here, publication history, things like that. Harley Quinn, by contrast, gets to be C rank because she's had multiple titles just about her. She's been in teams as a hero, and her longest run is 75 issues. That brings us to Hawkeye. He's another staple of the Avengers. Was part of Cap's Kooky Quartet, the second Avengers team in the entire history of Marvel. But he's stuck down here in D tier because he's never really made a solo title last more than 24 issues, more than 2 years. I think his longest run was a headlining solo Avengers, which was Avengers who didn't get solo titles having a solo title. So last we've got Flash. Flash got a movie after two TV shows. His movie was in 2023. The TV show's far more popular, just to be honest. In the comics, he's had over 500 issues of his solo title, but he only ever had that one series at a time. He had related series. Impulse had his own series, things like that. He's been a regular member of the Justice League, different incarnations of the Justice League, and other teams as well. But that's going to prevent him from rising higher than B tier. So as I said, this is a lot more than I thought there was going to be, and took a lot more time than I expected to rank them. And like I say, I skipped more than half of the ones that I found who had their own movies or TV shows. Thank you for sticking with me on this. I hope that as I go forward and talk about the different characters and what they meant at the time of publication, that you now have a point of reference for my meaning. If I talk about Songbird, for example, I don't expect you to know who she is, but I could say she's a D-list hero, and you can go, oh, so she is a hero who might be a good character, but never carried her own title, kind of like Hawkeye down here, or Wasp, or Blade. Uh, Somebody who could very well have a TV show, but not likely going to get uh, a serious series, and push in the Marvel Comics. As I said at the beginning, this is all subjective. I'm sure I put characters in places you wouldn't have. Make a case for your favorite character in the comments and let me know where you would have put them, whether one should be higher or lower than where I put them. And like I say, I'm going to read all these comments and reply to any of them that call me out. So, yeah, call me out.